Hey guys, it's Saru, and I didn't think I'd be making this video anytime soon, but it looks like I am. Blue Protocol is finally releasing here in the West, and it's come at, I think, the perfect time because, well, I'm quite depressed at my main MMO right now, but I need something new, and for anyone that's been with me in this channel knows that when I stick to a game, I stick to it. So, I think I've made a decision that once Blue Protocol comes out, that is going to be the one I'm sticking with and making content for. So, we'll be talking about what can be expected for the game as of now, the publisher, localization, and all the nice stuff, and the video's not going to be very long, so let's get right into it. So last night at the Game Awards, everyone was surprised at the fact that Blue Protocol would be releasing globally finally in 2023, with Amazon Game Studios publishing the game. Now there are a lot of concerns about Amazon publishing the game, but let's be honest, who else would be publishing the game? Some people would be saying Bandai themselves. Now the last time Bandai published an MMO, it was Cursed Unleashed, and I'd rather not relive that pain, so let's get through this, fellas. So we're gonna go through the highly asked questions out of the way, and these questions are based on basically the first comments that I ever see when I make a video about a brand new game or something like that. So here we go, let's get this out of the way. Yes, the MMO is free to play. Yes, it will be available on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series consoles, so no Xbox One, no PS4. It's an Unreal Engine 4. Aside from that, the game will be published by Amazon Games, like I said already, and will be made available in North America, South America, Western Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. Now this includes the console versions, of course, and as for localization, it will be made available in English, French, German, Spanish, and Brazilian Portuguese. Now I have some Brazilian friends that are probably cheering right now. They're like, oh my god, we exist. You do, friends, you do. Now for some reason I can just hear Tenek's voice somewhere. The hell is that sound? What? But it's somewhere out there, lurking, full of excitement. Anyways, you guys can go check out Tenek127 Gaming on YouTube, fellas. Like, he is the console guy, so I'm sure there's going to be a brand new video about this pretty soon. He has been petitioning and hoping for an MMORPG to come on consoles literally, I think, every single day this year. So here you go, buddy. But anyways, let's get into the nitty-gritty about Blue Protocol. Now, this free-to-play MMORPG will be coming out on the second half of next year, but players have a chance of signing up for a closed beta test right now, which is supposed to take place in the beginning of 2023. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to be looking at the FAQ, so hopefully this answers questions for you guys as well as for myself, but I've already answered some of these, such as the closed beta test, which is going to be in the first half of 2023, so that could be anywhere from January to June, but something tells me February for some reason. There's a gut feeling in my heart. That made no sense. Also, the second question, which says, when will Blue Protocol be released? And, you know, it's the second half of 2023. And I already talked about the supported languages as well as the regions that are going to be available. Now, if you're on PC like I am right now, this might be of interest to you guys. Now, the last video I made for a game coming out, I ended the minimum and recommended specs for a game, and I felt like that was pretty useful for some people, so maybe this will help you guys. So the minimum requirements for Blue Protocol are Windows 10, so you could have Windows 11 as well, because you know, it works like that. An Intel Core i3-4340 as a CPU, which you can get for like $50 somewhere. 8 GB of RAM, a GTX 660 with 2 GB of VRAM, or an R7 370, which is again 2 GB of VRAM, a hard drive of 40 GB, a 720p monitor resolution, and DirectX 11 or 12, but I don't think you're gonna have 12 if you have a 660, or you're going even lower than that. So that's for the minimum. Now, if you're in the recommended side of things and you would like to play things, you know, either in medium or high definition graphics like myself, this would be of use for you guys. So you want Windows 10 or 11, you want an i7 11700 or an AMD 7 5800X. I don't know where my 3900X falls into place for this. This makes me a little nervous, but anyways, 16 GB of RAM. You want an RTX 2070 Super, which is something that I have not heard of in a long time in terms of recommended specs. Or for the AMD equivalent, you have the RX 5700X. And isn't it weird that in the future we're going to be also adding Intel as a thing, so it's going to be 3 graphics cards and probably more in the future. But anyways, you want an SSD with 40 GB or higher, you want a 1080p monitor, and DirectX 12. So that's for the recommended specs. So kind of just take this into your mind, and then if you get into the closed beta, kind of test it out and see what works for you. Now, can you play with the controller on the PC? Yes, of course you're going to have controller support because it's going to be available on the PlayStation 5 as well as the Xbox Series console. So yeah, it does have control support, which by the way, if you guys are on Twitter, you can follow me at twitter.com/Sarumonin, and there I think the latest tweet tweeted at the actual Blue Protocol, because there's the Japanese one and then there's the brand new one. So if you need help finding the right one, you can just click on the one that I tagged, and that's the one that it is. One of the biggest questions I usually get when it comes to a console MMO is whether you need Xbox Live Gold or PlayStation Plus. You need neither. in order to play it. But you do need an Xbox account, obviously, or a PlayStation account to play, but you do not need Xbox Gold and you do not need PlayStation Plus. Now, as for the Amazon thing that I didn't mention, the Amazon account thing is because Amazon Games is the publisher, so usually they use this as a way for lottery winners for their closed beta. They did this with New World, and it did this, I think, with Lost Ark. So you're not going to need an Amazon account when the game does come out, but you are going to need it for the Blue Protocol closed beta. So we got the FAQ out of the way, and I think that's like the biggest thing that people are going to be asking about. So the beta sign up is available right now. There is a big blue button at the top right of the menu for Blue Protocol that anyone can click on, and all you really need to do is sign in with your Amazon account. But signing up with your Amazon account does not necessarily mean that you're going to be signing up with the particular email that is assigned with the Amazon account. You can actually change that once you're actually signing up. So if that's your worry, you can change that as you're signing up. Kind of answer the question right away. This is a PvE oriented MMORPG, so there is really no PvP. There are some forms of PvP, but it's not necessarily like PvP. They have stated that maybe in the future after launch they might add PvP modes, but it's mostly focused on PvE. So some of the PvP forms that they have in this game is mostly like team versus team, but you're fighting kind of waves of monsters in the sense of tower defense, I guess, is probably the best way to explain that. So there's that. You have your customization, which I can't wait to get into the game and actually try out the customization. For those that are absolutely sad that Terra shut down recently, this is pretty close to the action combat that Terra offered, and it's really nice to see that it's going to kind of be coming back in its own way. Now this is pretty much an anime MMORPG, so you know, if you don't like that, the aesthetic is 100% like you're in an anime or something. Funny thing about all this is that people are now comparing this to Genshin Impact, which completely different game, by the way. And yet, you know, Tower of Fantasy was also compared to Genshin Impact, and when Genshin Impact was coming out, that was being compared to Breath of the Wild, and when Breath of the Wild came out, that was being compared to Borderlands because of the cell shading thing, and it's not really that unique, you know what I mean? So yeah, the cell shading anime kind of vibe is what is in this game. It is an MMORPG. There is a huge multiplayer thing. There are raids up to 20 players, which last I heard, they're trying to expand it to 30 players or more, so there are party systems and stuff like that, and it isn't like an adventure game with gacha systems or anything. This is like a pure PvE MMORPG for everybody to play. So I figured I'd actually just talk about the announcements that are available on the website and just kind of go into it and see what it's all about. So the road to launch, we'll start with that one. So in this, I'm not going to kind of give you word for word about this, but they're just saying that this is co-developed by Bandai Namco Online and the Bandai Namco Studios, and it is published by Amazon Games, and it's just going into detail saying that Blue Protocol is a free-to-play multiplayer action RPG, which I mean at that point I could just say MMORPG because it really is. And I feel like if you're a fan of Phantasy Star Online 2, this is probably like the closest thing you're gonna get in that kind of sci-fi realm, sort of. You know, the fact that Amazon Games here says is working to preserve Bandai Namco's vision for Blue Protocol and ensuring that the game is approachable to Western players, key words for saying we are making sure that the business models and the monetization decisions that we make are going to be towards Western players rather than Eastern players. Although if you look at Lost Ark, that's kind of worrying. But yeah, I mean, at the end of it, they just kind of go into saying that there's immersive stories, there are a lot of multiplayer features and adventures such as online raids against monsters and a bunch of stuff, right? So that is the first article, and I'm really excited about it because honestly, like last week I said I need a new MMO to get into, to make content for regularly and like really be excited about it, and this feels like it's going to be the one. Now in the welcome article, we have the executive producer of Blue Protocol talking. I'm not going to butcher his name, but the reason I say anime before is even the executive producer kind of says it right here, right? They're trying to create a brand new entertainment IP, and it's going to be entertaining for people around the globe, and it's not just going to be for one demographic or another, right? So it's a new original title that melds a world realized with beautiful graphics, making you feel as if you're part of an anime with online gameplay pushing the limits of multiplayer action. And they promise to deliver the best experience for everyone that has been patiently waiting, even though a lot of the PvP crowd will be turned off. And usually when a game is not doing so well, a lot of the criticism that I see or feedback is that a game is not doing well because the PvP features are not very well, or they're not well optimized, or they're not fun, or whatever. It's pretty much centric towards the fact that PvP is needing to be revamped in one way or another in order to be enjoyable, which would make the game overall a success. Now this game is a pure PvE game, right? So curious to see how well this MMO does, having practically no PvP systems whatsoever, so that's going to be interesting to see. And lastly, when we see the final article that's available right now, there could be one tomorrow, I don't know, it's called Announcing Blue Protocol. They talk about the vast world and the immersive adventure, so we know there's going to be quests, we know that you're going to talk to NPCs and try to figure out your own story, and figure out the story of what's going on around the world, and that in the region that you're currently in this planet, the overuse of technology has created sort of a distortion of space and time, which has kind of engulfed the entire planet and caused its own destruction. So you're kind of wanting to change that fate, and you and your teammates, your guild members, whatever it could be, you're going to travel to an unknown world to kind of figure out what's the truth, what's the solution, how can we fix this. And the classes that are available in this game are more dependent on the weapons that you decide to choose, so it allows you to adapt to challenges without changing your character, as this says. You can switch between 5 different classes, and each one has different unique skills, and like every RPG doesn't have to be an MMO, right? It has its own stats that can be modified and leveled up, and so you can kind of combine things. You can have a combination of skills, modifiers, you have mystical creatures that are called echoes, which can basically buff your abilities or kind of help you in battle depending on, you know, the style that you're going for. And if I quickly go over to the gameplay section, you can kind of check out what's going on over here. So for example, you have the Blade Warden, which is kind of your normal tank class sort of, and on the right side it has the thumbnails, I guess you could click on, and you can see it's kind of blocking attacks, and it has a sword, and it's not like it's gender specific or anything, because the next picture has an orange haired girl version of it. So yeah, this is mostly a close range class, mostly catered to, I guess, defense. So it's like a tank class, like a warrior class if you've played an RPG or MMORPG. This kind of reminds me a little bit of the Berserker class when it's in Apex in Terra, which is called the Twin Striker. So it's, again, a melee class that just has 2 axes and just beats the crap out of people. And so if you're into kind of strong attacks that are just continuous, this is probably for you. But on the opposite scale of that, if you are into kind of range classes, the Keen Strider is available, which is a technical class, which I guess you can think of as an archer, right? So it can do long range attacks and support. And I find that interesting because you don't really usually see an archer kind of having support other than, you know, shooting from afar or something. You have the Spellweaver, which is, I guess, your typical mage class, if, you know, that's what you kind of like to do. And so it's a long range class, use your kind of magic skills, I guess you can say, and attack from afar. And then lastly, you have the Foe Breaker. Now this is kind of like a medium to close range class, and this is more of a, I guess you can think of it as a heavyweight, I guess, kind of class, or it has almost a boulder of sorts that can be used to demolish enemies with its heavyweight hammer. And so, you know, these are the classes that are available based on what you're choosing and what you're doing with your weapons. So the cool thing about this is that you can mix and match, right? Because eventually people are going to have to team up. There are dungeons in this game. You can go it alone. You can do it yourself if you want to. And if you have mystical echoes, you know, they're kind of like, I guess you can think of them as AI. They can kind of help you if you really need to, and you can craft them, or you can obtain them doing quests. So you have the solo thing. You have matchmaking, which will connect you with other players with your similar levels. So it's not like somebody's going to be level, like, I don't know, 100 and you're level 1, right? So it's going to be around the same level. So if you're 10, you know, you might get somebody that's level 12, maybe 11, maybe 9, something around that line. And lastly, there's the party list, which just kind of lets you browse the existing parties that are available nearby. And if people are looking for adventures, so similar to an LFG kind of thing, or a bulletin board where people are looking for other players. That's it. In the game, there are guilds, but they're called teams. So teams are sort of like guilds, as they say right here. It's like a roster of like-minded players who can easily find each other and play together. So those teams have leaders, deputies, and assistants who help administrate the team and can rank up. Teams are guilds or alliances, or I don't really know any other word, clans, I guess. I don't know any other synonyms for the word guild, but it's a guild system, so it is available. And if you want to create your own, it's going to be there. So yeah, I'm going to cut it off there. I think I kind of went into everything that you need to know about this. I definitely recommend, if anybody's interested, even remotely, like even if you're kind of curious about it, sign up for the newsletter, because usually the newsletter will let you know about the closed beta. Sometimes they'll give you keys or, you know, presents or gifts or whatever. So when you're signing up for the beta itself, it will give you an option towards the end to sign up for the newsletter. So I recommend doing that if you're going to sign up for the beta. And if you're not going to sign up for the beta, at least sign up for the newsletter. It always helps. So yeah, I mean, I'm genuinely excited about playing this game. I need a new MMORPG in my life. I'm definitely interested to cover this game in terms of guides and walkthroughs and things like that, which I feel like I do very well in my style of stuff, but Anyways, that is it. I'm not gonna talk anymore because I feel like this video is long enough already for what is available right now. So yeah, go sign up, and if you're interested, let me know in the comments below. We'll talk about it. If you're gonna be playing, if you're gonna play on NA, EU, South America, let me know. I definitely want to talk to you guys about it. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and click that adorable f***ing bell to know when I upload a brand new video. And don't forget to come join my Discord if you want to chat and hang out. Much love, and as always, till next time, friends.